6, 7, 8.
Hair. We all have it, and some days we love it, other days not so much. Some are born with great hair, and others have to work hard to achieve it. But in the end, everyone should have the ability and freedom to wear it however they choose. Hair is one of the first things someone notices about someone else, and recently, within the past 100 years, women have really begun to grasp the power they have to make statements with their hair. Decades can be defined by the hairstyles of the era, and the progression of women's hair throughout the past century mimics the progression of women's perception of this American dream. The demand to be taken seriously, the freedom of self-expression, and the pursuit of equality. Flashback to the roaring 1920s and the Jazz Age. Women had just earned the right to vote and were hungry for more equality to men. Women in this time were still very restricted and expected to be controlled by men. They desperately sought a way to protest this notion. A dancer by the name of Irene Castle first cut her hair short simply to make dancing easier. The cut spread like wildfire with the women of the 20s. It became known as the bob, due to the resemblance to men's hairstyles. The cut was extremely controversial due to its androgyny, and women faced the question to bob or not to bob. They risked losing their jobs, being disowned by their families, and being ostracized in public by cutting their hair in a bob. And yet women flocked by the hundreds to barbershops, hair salons didn't offer the cut, to have their hair bobbed. As hair grew shorter, the women grew bolder. This clearly sent a strong message that women weren't something just to be controlled anymore. They deserved the freedom and equality that men had. The 1950s hairstyles are also typical of their era, but drastically different from the bobs of the 20s. Women's hair of the 50s were glamorous, perfect, womanly styles. One must consider the time period to understand why it seems like women took steps backwards. With the return of soldiers from World War II, wives and women tried to be everything they believed that their husbands and men deserved, and finding a husband was deemed more important than a college degree. They strove to be the perfect housewife because that's all they had. This included cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children, errands, etc. Women were also expected to constantly look perfect while performing these tasks. Appearance in the 1950s was everything. No one wanted to let on that their families weren't perfect or unhappy. Women, especially in this time era, were being held back and therefore were unhappy, but still expected to look their best and cheerful. They took pride in their hair and copied the hairstyles of Hollywood icons in the hopes of living vicariously through these powerful and pretty women. Idols such as Marilyn Monroe, Lucille Ball, and Elizabeth Taylor became inspiration for women of the 50s and their hair. They were able to be powerful and succeed at life while also being beautiful and confident. The 1980s were known as the me and greed decade, and this is displayed clearly through the hairstyles of the era. The motto was the bigger the better, applying to houses, cars, and hair as well. The era was also a breakthrough for women, since they no longer were viewed as selfish by having careers instead of focusing solely on their families as they were in the 50s. Women became superwomen, with more moms re-entering the workforce, and they weren't afraid to be strong and powerful. The invention of the perm allowed for bigger and more efficient hair that sent out the message that women were no longer small and fragile. They were large and in charge. It was like women were transformed into lionesses through their manes of hair, the ones who take care of the young and do the hunting. The rising new wave culture also brought in all the blunt, asymmetrical hairstyles and funky side ponytails. Abandoned were the soft curls with luscious shine, and adopted were daring blunt cuts and teased voluminous bangs. Women's hairstyles in the 80s were meant to make statements, and that they did. The modern era is more difficult to define by hairstyles, since today women have all the past options open to them. It's common today to see women with bobs, women with old Hollywood styles, and women with big hair. It's also common to see the other decade's hairstyles as well. Chignons from the 40s, bouffants from the 60s, fair hair from the 70s, and blunt highlights from the 90s. This is a good thing because it means that we've about achieved the freedom that we've been striving for. Women have the freedom to style their hair the way they want without fear of being judged, which translates to ultimate freedom of expression. My definition of the modern American dream is to find something one loves about themselves or a skill one has and use it to their advantage to achieve success in life, whatever that may be to an individual. This translates to hairstyles, and that women today should take what they love most about their natural hair and accentuate it in some way that is flattering and gives them confidence. This confidence is the key to succeeding at the dream. Modern society is constantly trying to make women think that they have to fix their flaws, but with this confidence one can ignore society's pressures and learn to love their so-called flaws. From my own personal experience, I've learned to accept my naturally thick hair. I used to try to thin it out as much as possible so I could try to look like everyone else, but then I realized, why not use it to my advantage to create something that set me apart from everyone else, which to me is a success. To be a unique person in a world full of 6 billion of one's own species. Instead of trying to eliminate something that made me different, I embraced my thick hair and keep it natural, because for me it's important to be comfortable in one's own unique skin. Today, instead of merely chasing a dream that seems impossible, women have the ability to define what their own unique American dream is. And that is what the true modern American dream is all about. The pursuit of one's individual life, liberty, and happiness, no matter one's sex, race, or religion.
She asks me why I'm just a hairy guy. I'm hairy noon and night, hair that's a fright. I'm hairy high and low. Don't ask me why, don't know. It's not for lack of bread, like the Grateful Dead. Darling, give me a head with hair, long beautiful hair, shining, gleaming, steaming, flaxen, waxen. Give me down to there, hair, shoulder length or longer. Here, baby, there, mama, everywhere, daddy, daddy, hair. Blow it, show it, long as I can blow it, my hair. Let it fly in the breeze and get caught in the trees. Give a home to the fleas in my hair. Oh, a home for fleas, a hive for bees, a nest for birds. There ain't no words for the beauty, the splendor, the wonder of my hair. Blow it, show it, long as I can grow in my hair. I want it long, straight, curly, fuzzy, snaggy, shaggy, ratty, matty, oily, greasy, fleecy, shining, gleaming, steaming, flaxen, waxen, knotted, polka dyed, twisted, beaded, braided, powdered, flowered, and confetti, wrinkled, tangled, spangled, and spaghetti.
Oh, say, can you see my eyes if you can?
And my hair's too short, down to here, down to there. I want hair down to where it stops by itself. They'll be gaga at the go-go when they see me in my toga made of blonde, brilliantine, biblical hair. My hair like Jesus for it, hallelujah, I adore it. Hallelujah, Mary loved her son. Why?